If you are under a certain age, let me assure you this apple pie was served at the surface temperature of the planet Mercury. This picture just got stuck to the roof of my mouth. Why you gotta put your potato chips on the sandwich? The greatest mystery of our time. What does it look like from the other side? I don't know if I'd want to see him from the other side. The most reliable truck ever built. That's true. Those things would last forever. This is probably a recent photo taken of one from the 80s. When you went to a music store in the 80s and had to wait for them to take this thing off of your cassette. Here's a friendly PSA. Friends don't tell friends that 1980 was 44 years ago. Picture this. It's the dead middle of summer. Your mom gets home with these for you and your friends. What do you call these? I know other people had some different names, but we just called them popsicles. What did you guys call these? Drop it down in the comments. At some point in your childhood, you and your friends went outside to play together for the last time, and nobody knew it. When you think about it, this is true. And the worst part is, I can't remember when the last time was. Trying to figure out which drink is less full to give it to your sibling. Name a business that is closed from your younger years. Well, there could be a lot of answers given here, but for me, the main one that comes to mind is Kmart. They just kept closing stores until finally they just faded away. What stores or restaurants that's closed do you guys miss? Here's a throwback to when you could legally gamble at Taco Bell as a kid. You know, when you put it that way, that's really all it is. Who's old enough to remember when these came wrapped in tin foil? Yeah, they did. And there was a lot of other stuff that was wrapped in a similar tin foil type package too. And it tasted a lot better than all this stuff today that's just wrapped in this cheap plastic. When you figure out who this is, you'll realize how old we are. Drop your answers in the comments. This was YouTube in the 90s. That is a 100% true and accurate description of what America's Home Funniest Videos was back in the day. And that's what made it so popular too. Here's another figure from some of the most iconic scenes that they're making from the Tom and Jerry cartoons. Only 80s kids remembers the code to get 30 lives. That was a pretty awesome game back in the day. I played it quite a bit. When you lie on your resume, but you still get the job. It would actually be really funny if someone who was talented at video editing could take some of the iconic Star Wars scenes and actually place Big Bird into them. I'd definitely watch it. When I was a pup, I had one toy, and it was a stick. It's February 1976, and this weirdo who looks like he has jaundice just came on TV in the middle of cartoons and told me to fill our ice trays with orange juice. I remember doing that when I was a kid, and we also used Kool-Aid and other things to make different flavors. This is what real high-fidelity sound looks like. I used to think I was becoming more and more like Clark Griswold. But I know now I've been Cousin Eddie all along. Windows 95 Video Guide. Easy instruction with Jennifer Aniston and Matthew Perry. R.I.P. Matthew. My mom as a mom. No toys in the living room. My mom as a grandma. How many of you remember these? And why did we all want them? I'm pull down maps old. Yeah, we had these in a lot of different classrooms. And now that I think about it, I'd actually like to have one of these today. 80s toys. Nothing will ever compare. And these days, we wish we'd have left some of the toys in their original packaging and put them in a box and saved them all the way until now. But some of them's worth some pretty good money. The Fonz jumps 14 garbage cans and then crashes into Arnold's fried chicken stand, breaking his leg. 2 years later, in 1977, he would return to jump the shark. It's time to break out the snow socks. Unfortunately, this is true. They're giving snow, ice, and winds here in the next week or so. And for some of you in different parts of the country, you've already had a lot of snow, rain, and other weather. And then today, we had a tornado in January down in Florida. I pray everyone's okay down there. If you know who he is, you're old. I'm so glad I was taught how to play the recorder at school. It has come in really handy in adult life. Lost count of the times I've resolved a difficult situation with a quick blast of 3 blind mice. Why is this so true? It's like they push this in all the schools nationwide. I really hope drive-in theaters make a comeback. That'd be really cool if they did. It's kind of sad to see another little piece of history just kind of faded away. Unless you were there in 1982, you can't even imagine how baller this setup was. Fisher-Price Family Farm. Who remembers what was so special about the barn doors? Gen X saying, "Okay, Boomer," since the 1980s. You can find this and other designs in the akornzstash store. Link in the description. All of this would have cost $153.02 in 1983. Yeah, but if you adjusted for inflation, today that'd probably be over $1,000. In my opinion, this was one of the best 80s movie series ever made. Welcome to your 40s. Kurt Londoner is 78 years old now. Have a nice day. You know the food is fire if the menu looks like this. Why is the chili straight and chili and beans actually negative numbers? Did they pay you to eat it? I mean, I don't know. Jenny was at Walmart. This sci-fi comedy warmed our hearts when we saw it as kids. Now it seems like no one has ever heard of it. And that is true for some reason. If you know the title, you know what to do. We didn't know how good we had it. No, we didn't know. It was a far better time back then. It's always easy looking back, though. You can be cool, but you'll never be Ric Flair in a robe trimmed in sequins and feathers cool. I'm glad I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I did so much stupid, and there's no record of it anywhere. Yeah, these days, you literally can't do anything without there being a record of it somewhere. But most often, it's people putting it on their own social media pages. The brownies I started making in my Easy Bake Oven back in 1986 are ready if you all want some. How many of you know what this was for? And what channel did you have to turn your TV to in order to use it? Drop it down in the comments. They were preparing us for self-checkout the whole time. What do you guys think of self-checkouts? I mean, if you got a couple items and there's long lines, yeah, okay. But I think you should get a discount. Worse yet, how many of you guys been to Aldi self-checkouts? I hate those things because every 3 seconds it's telling you to scan your next item or pay. I'm like, would you just give me a second? Let me put my groceries in a bag first? So annoying. Even if you didn't have this on your coffee table, you knew someone who did. Yes, I did. And they were kind of cool, too. This is how you shared music you recorded from the radio in the 80s. I had a whole case of mixtapes that I made, and I actually labeled each one by volume number, and wrote what songs was on them. Remember when Pizza Hut pan pizzas were basically a culinary delicacy? They bring them out in real skillets that was piping hot at 700 degrees Fahrenheit, right as your third song kicked in on the jukebox after you played a game of Galaga. We were royalty. They were the best pizzas, especially when you got a free personal pan from the Bucket Club. When you visit a museum and you see the computer you used in grade school on display. That's kind of sad, actually. They were basically a typewriter with a TV screen. Look, Goonies, we made it back to the 80s. Every town had one. I remember when I lived in Kentucky as a kid, there was a place called Akornz Bakery, and they baked fresh bread every day. And in that whole part of town, it smelled like fresh baked bread all day long. A lead Saturday in my childhood. If you know, you know. Who remembers playing Paperboy? Why was that game so much fun for? The newer generations will never understand the absolute grip this baby had on our culture. We all know what's inside this box. Drop it in the comments. I can smell these heating up in the bathroom on the vanity. If you recognize this scene, then that means you've seen one of the funniest films that was ever made. I am Carnival Mirrors years old. I spent a good amount of money trying to get the ones I wanted. You may not like hearing it, but this is the correct length of shorts for a man. No, it's not. But that was a great TV show. 1990 versus 2023. What is this device? When will schools start teaching about the great scientific minds of the 1980s? That's a good question. They were certainly a whole lot smarter than today's so-called scientists. Take me back to the 80s. 2 truths about the 80s. Malls were awesome, and the record store was their heartbeat. Back in the day, you wouldn't hardly see one vacant store location in the whole mall. These days, for what few malls is even left, half the whole place is empty. Hi, welcome to Chuck E. Cheese. Everything is visibly dirty, and our mascot is a rat. Eat some pizza near a seizing child. Come on down for some rat pizza at our child casino. You know, when you think about it, that's actually exactly what it was. A casino for children, and it was legal. It's 1984, and you got a new boombox. What's the first 80s cassette you're playing? Well, let's see. There's Every Rose Has Its Thorn, or maybe Another One Bites the Dust. Sweet Child of Mine is a good one. Or you could play this one. Sorry guys, I just had to do that. But like one of my viewers in some of the previous Gen X episodes said, you can't be rickrolled if you were actually there. Kids today will never know what up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, select, and start means. If you know what it is, drop it in the comments. Slip and slide. The most fun you'll ever have getting hurt. That's an accurate description. Still thinking about the fact that Ralph is months older than Thomas. It kinda sucks for the people that age way too fast. And then there's the people that don't seem to age at all. Dear kids, her name was Lady Elaine Fairchild, and she was terrifying. What great PBS show did she come from? Shout out to the adult on the porch who watched this entire scene unfold and just sat there. Well, that was just part of the 80s. I love the fact of the reactions on the girls' faces. The first one looks like she's getting ready to give the Pledge of Allegiance. The second one don't really have any reaction. The third one is praying. The fourth one is just shocked. And the fifth one is crying. Cures for every sickness I had as a kid. Yep. Pretty much. I mean, I'd cover just about anything. Nick Castle, who played Michael Myers in the original Halloween, has a cat named Michael Meowers. What movies come to mind when you see this man? The first two that I think of is Ghostbusters and Groundhog's Day. When I was a kid, there were no phones or tablets. We read cereal boxes at breakfast. Yeah, and did the little games and other things they had on there. Things literally every 80s girl wore at some point. Today in 1987, your school served you this for lunch, and you were excited about it. Yep, absolutely. It's one of the best lunches we'd have that week. Be honest, how many of you knew that Smurfette was not actually a real Smurf? She was created by Gargamel in an attempt to find the Smurfs village. It was Papa Smurf who performed a spell on her, thus making her a real Smurf. She also originally had black hair. Well, I'll be honest, I didn't know this. I don't know if I missed an episode or if I just can't remember, but I didn't know this. Remember the saying, it's 10 p.m., do you know where your children are? Yep, they had to run that every night on the TV. Just for most parents to remember that they had kids. That was just how it was back in the 80s. If this video brought you a smile, please share it with someone else. Check out my other videos here on the channel, stored in Akornzstash. I thank you all for watching, everyone stay safe, and I hope this video has brightened up your day. This is Akornz, signing off.